Councilman Gibbons, will you give us an opening prayer?
Oglala. In this time of pressure and intensity throughout our reservation, our nation, the world, give us the strength, Oglala, to carry on. I'll pray for all of the people. All of the people. Oh, Malakiate.
Thank you, Councilman Gibbons. Councilwoman Whitehorse, will you give us some words of encouragement?
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to encourage the council to really consider the people today in the decisions that we make. There going to be some tough decisions. I know that finances are always a big part, but we also need to consider the safety of our people. And I want to encourage the council because I think many of you are doing such a good job right now in helping. And I encourage everybody to keep it up and don't forget to take time for yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehorse. Madam Secretary, you ready for a roll call?
Hold on, I need you to print something up. Jim Meeks is excused. Dwayne Yellowhawk is excused. Garfield Apple. He's present in the building. Glenn Gibbons.
Here.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Here.
James Cross.
Present.
Sonia Littlehawk Weston. Jackie Sears.
Here.
Vincent Tulance.
Here.
Craig Dillon. Cora Whitehorse.
Here.
Valerie Janice.
Here.
Valentina Mardanian.
Present.
Good morning. Ryan Jumping Eagle.
Here.
And I'd like to recognize Sonia Littlehawk Weston, present in the chambers. Bo Little White Man.
Yo.
Chancey Wilson.
Here.
Philip Goodcrow. Randy Laysbad.
Here.
Richard Greenwald. Nakina Mills.
Wahi.
Robin Tapio.
Present.
17 present, 2 absent, and 2 excused.
Okay, we have 17 present for the agenda. We have one item from the EB&D committee, Prairie One's Casino and East One's Casino. Finance committee policy for the emergency utility assistance resolution and the OST.
Chair. I have one more.
Councilman Cross.
Yes. Good morning, Council and good morning, Secretary. The last meeting we had, we gave a directive to Mr. Ruse to look at the appraisals and to look at Lakota Prairie Ranch Motel. And he has the information that council wanted. Moving forward with that. So if it's okay, I'd like to 2/3 that on. I know it is an emergency.
Jennifer Berryville has her hand up.
I'll second.
Madam Attorney Barrigo, I have a motion and a second. Motion by Councilman Cross, second by Councilman Jumping Eagle. Madam Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Council. I just wanted to note that ordinance number 11-7 provides that took out the emergency item provision for special council meetings. So 2/3 items are only permitted for regular council meetings.
Thank you, Madam Attorney Barrigo. So we are unable to 2/3 that onto the agenda. I got a motion.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the agenda.
I got a motion to approve the agenda in a second.
Second.
By Councilman Laysbad, second by Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston. Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please. Oh, is that Valerie that's calling for the chair?
I am. And Jackie has her hand up as well.
Yeah, during our HHS meeting yesterday too, we needed to, for the attorney, is it possible to open the agenda and put them on, because we had two in HHS and they both have to do with the COVID from the treasurer's office. One is for the water and sewer hookups for the people out there, and the other one is for to allow him to start purchasing things with the COVID money.
Question.
Jennifer.
Okay, so there was an ordinance 0603 which says that the council can 2/3 items onto the agenda that were not originally on it, and that used to say regular or special council meetings, but 1107 explicitly states that the addition of emergency items should be limited to tribal council meetings. So nothing in 1107 seems to allow for emergency agenda items for special meetings. I'd be happy to send on a copy of this ordinance 1107. What I would suggest is perhaps maybe scheduling another special meeting to address these items. It's just that this ordinance does not allow for emergency items to make it to special tribal council meetings.
Question.
Yeah, question.
Thank you, Madam Attorney Barrigo. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to council and the executive board. I guess the one for water and sewer, yesterday we met on that with HHS, and that one there, we just forwarded it over to Mason to work on it and come back with a plan. So I don't think that one needs to come on as a 2/3 right away. We know it's emergency, but he's got to work on it and come back with a plan. So that one wasn't a 2/3, but I think, did we give the president already authority to approve some of this COVID-19 items? Maybe these can just go to executive board from the HHS committee now.
That was for the treasurer to go ahead and start purchasing items from the districts that are more than 75,000. And it does need council action.
So I guess after this meeting, because we only called this for the Prairie Casino items under EB&D that I think that's why we asked for a special, but I agree with the attorney. I think we need to stick to our laws, ordinance, and I think maybe after today, maybe we can request for another meeting and put these on there right away. It'll be up to the president to, I guess, get the meeting together for us.
Yeah, question.
President, I have Randy, or Jackie Sears, Randy Laysbed, Brian Jumping Eagle, and Jennifer Bear Eagle.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Councilwoman Sears.
we have a motion on the floor. We should run it. And I believe that we need to set up another meeting because we won't go through this all the time. You know, when we have a special, it's supposed to be just what's on that agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Laysband?
I agree with Jackie too, and Sonia too, that we already have a agenda in front of us, and special items only, so let's just run with the agenda that's in front of us, and plus there's a motion on the floor in the second too. Thank you.
Madam Attorney Bear Eagle?
Yes, thank you. I do have a recommendation for taking care of the coronavirus relief fund items, and that would be and you can certainly, obviously we can't do it right now, make that assignment, but we'd be happy within the legal department and our outside counsel to work on an ordinance that sets forth a process for handling those funds. I think that might make it more efficient because we do have our existing procurement manual, and any deviation from that, we would need to either draft an ordinance permitting that, or, I mean, you certainly just can't decide that it doesn't apply, but we'd be happy to prepare a document that addresses how these funds are used. And that's something we can certainly work on. If assigned.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I think that's a great idea, and I would recommend that you initiate that immediately. So I got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Also, I'd like to recognize Craig Dillon at 10:26 and Philip Goodcrow at 10:25. Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons?
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross?
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston? Jackie Sears? Vincent Tulent? Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse?
Yes.
Valerie Janice?
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian? Ryan Jumping Eagle?
No.
Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
Chancey Wilson?
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow?
Yes.
Randy Laysbed?
Yes.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Nikina Mills? Robin Tapio?
Yes.
$18 yes, 1 no.
18 yes, 1 no. Motion carried. Number 6 on the agenda is the EB&D Committee, Prairie Wind and East Wind Casino. Councilman Cross?
Yes. Thank you. The EB&D committee had a meeting last Friday, and they requested a special. Mr. Prairie did give a presentation to the committee, presenting a 7-point plan on phasing the casino opening, and also Mr. Low White Man. I know he wasn't on this, but we did add him to that. So under the Prairie One Casino, I'd like to also give time for Mr. Low White Man to make a presentation to the tribal council. He does have his information there. And so if Mr. Prairie is there, Chair, I'd like to turn the floor over to him.
We do have both Mr. Little White Man and Mr. Poyer here.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer. So I'll turn it over to Bill. And I think he did email everything, his plan. So hopefully all the council got it.
Good morning, council. Thank you for having this special meeting
I'll
today.
send it to you. Oh, you can forward it to council? You want
Jennifer,
it?
so hopefully I think she forwarded to everybody.
Okay.
I just received a copy of the task force's response to the opening, so I'm aware of that as well. Okay, I'll just go through this report. Ask a question from
I have nothing, so I used her finance.
Recommend July 1st, casino, legal, and hotel reopening date. Recommend reopening because our current payroll and utility expenses are covered in the Paycheck Protection Program. Within the CARES Act expires on June 30th, 2020. Number 2, I recommend all staff return duty on June 17th to prepare for July 1st reopening. All managers report to a special meeting on July 15th. On time to be announced. Mr. Jackson, Lieutenant Figure State Officer here with me as well. He adopted a tier 7.6 plan from Las Vegas for casino use their total hotel plans as well.
Oh, I need that EB&D packet.
Attached to tribal council resolution presented to the First National Bank.
I marked that in my office. Okay.
Or the Pinnacle Bank requesting loan to cover reopening costs. The proposal is loan to be paid on a weekly basis covering 12 weeks. Reopening costs are as follows. Each minimum bankroll $483,000.
Excuse me, Chair.
First July payroll $285,000.
Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, Councilman Greenwald.
I didn't even know Bill was making his report. All I heard was a conversation going on. I didn't even know he started. And it sounded like he's been into it for a little while now. Somebody was talking at the chambers.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Greenwald. I did send a text to the secretary.
Okay, go.
Okay, go to number 5. As aforementioned, all staff are currently paid by the Paycheck Protection Program within the CARES Act. This forgivable loan expires on June 30th for all qualified small businesses. Number 6, reopening COVID-19 equipment supplies are needed in the sum of $241,000. My question is, can the tribal COVID-19 dollars be used to cover this cost? Okay, I have 2 options in lieu of reopening on July 1st, 2020, especially in reference to this document I received from the task force on the concerns about the shelter-in-place ordinance and the board monitoring ordinance. Number 1, furloughing employees on July 1st, 2020, so they can apply for unemployment benefits. Currently, the unemployment program under the CARES Act expires on December 31st, 2020. This program pays an additional $375 per week to the existing state rate. I believe the combination of 2 will pay $1,000 per week. The disadvantage to this option is there will be 0 benefits paid for employees. What that means is there will be no health benefits, no retirement benefits, no vision, no hearing, and so forth. And number 2, this is the key. Last week, the House approved H.R. 7010, Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act of 2020. It passed overwhelmingly, 417-1. This act will extend the Paycheck Protection Program to December 31st, 2020, and is more flexible. What I mean by more flexible, it allows for more dollars to be used for non-payroll costs. And the key to a forgivable loan is that you have to stay within those percentages. What that means, as it currently stands, is that only 35% can be used for payroll and 25% for utilities. I want you to stay within those percentages.
excuse me, the oath to be given. The Senate received a solicitation on June 1st, 2020. And I was reading this morning that Senator Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, and Mark Rubio approved the House version, so more than likely it will pass the Senate soon. And hopefully that means this week. So if the council does not feel comfortable reopening on July 1st, that's something that can pursue item number 2. The Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act to continue on payroll and never utility costs paid to December 31st, 2020. But again, I would recommend that's a decision that at least will be reviewed every month to see where we stand in terms of reopening, see how things are going with the coronavirus and treatment and prevention, those type of things. So, I also attached 2 resolutions. I'll go through it real quick. They're just one resolution, but there's 2 different banks. And I'll read those to you real quick here. Resolution of Oglala Tribal Council including Mr. Will Queer, Mr. Gary Roos, and Mason Vidco to contact the smooth loan application of Pinnacle Bank or the First National Bank to cover casino reopening costs. Whereas the Oglala Tribe organized in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 and December 14, 1935, adopting the Constitution and bylaws under Section 16 of the 1934 Indian Reorganization Act. And whereas the Tribal Constitution authorizes the Tribal Council in Article 3, Section 8 to manage all economic affairs of the tribe.
Thank you.
Whereas the Tribal Council Economic and Business Development Committee serves as a standing committee with direct authority over the casino and hotel affairs and operations. And whereas the Prairie Casino was closed on March 22nd due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Whereas on June 3rd, the casino manager, Mr. Bill Clear, is recommended to Oglala Tribal Council July 1st reopening date. Whereas all casino dollars are expended to cover payroll and utility costs beginning March 22nd to April 27, 2020. Whereas all casino payroll and utility costs are currently covered in Paycheck Protection Program that started on April 28, 2020 and expires on June 30th, 2020. Whereas the casino needs reopening dollars to cover the cage costs in the amount of $483,000 and the first payroll of $285,000 for July payroll. Therefore, be resolved, the Oglala Tribal Council hereby approves Mr. Bill Queer, Mr. Gary Roos, and Mr. Mason Vidco to contact the Pinnacle Bank, and of course the other resolution, same thing, or the First National Bank in Gordon. Casino loan application to cover the casino reopening costs, and the approval will be repaid on a weekly basis not to exceed 12 calendar weeks. Any questions?
Councilman Jumping Eagle.
So I just have a comment. I think we need to, as a tribe, help our casinos however we can. But the virus is just getting here, and I think we're kind of, jumping the gun on opening it. Yeah, I think it's too early. We want to keep all our members and the staff out there safe. So I think however we can support them, I think that's what we need to do. Thank you.
I have Philip with the question.
Question.
Councilman Goodcrow.
Thank you. Good morning, Bill. I support this issue, but at the same time, what you're bringing forward to the council, but at the same time, this lately, there's 2 people I know across the Res, from Pine Ridge, and Porcupine, when you can open up the casino and so forth. And we hope that you open up on July 1, if you're planning on that and so forth. So people are aware that the tribe wants to open, their recommendation coming from the South, open the casino. But just lately, I received 2 phone calls, and a lengthy discussion on that issue and what Rand was talking about, the safety of our employees, the safety of the general public. And the COVID-19 is still here, and it's not going to go away, from what I understand. And it's still, to me, I think that, if we could wait for another month in August, and I think that, to me, that's my suggestion, but, that the individuals that did call were concerned of the individuals, not only them, but prior to that also too, said don't open up. In Wakpamni, when the individual called also too way back, and he said don't keep that casino closed. But generally, to me, I think that the casino we should wait on that. And I think that with the CARES Act for the loan process, that is supposed to go as far as Monday. And how long would that take? I know it has to go to the House and Senate and so forth. Is that what it has to do? No.
There's already a passed by the House. It's called the Flexibility Act, or Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act. It was passed by the House last Thursday morning, 471 vote. And the Senate received it on Monday. So this morning, like I said, Senator Mitch McConnell, and he recognized the particular legislation. He also accepted the House version. So basically, the Senate majority there accepts. I'm sure it will pass sometime this week. He said soon. Basically, what that would do, they would send a program beginning July 1st to December 23rd.
Yeah.
And our dollars currently went out on June 30th. So what that means is that the council decides to delay the reopening, we can go ahead and apply for those dollars again. And just remind you that they will be forgiven. We can apply for those dollars again. It only takes, last time it only took within 24 hours we were approved. So it's a quick process. So once we know, I'm sure we'll know this week, once it's approved, and President Trump has to sign off, of course, and I don't see no problem there because it's for small businesses. But like I said earlier, once it's approved, we apply. We're currently in the system already. I'm sure we'll probably apply to maybe June 29th, June 30th, whatever, to make sure that we continue with the funding beginning July 1st.
Okay.
Thank you. Real quick, I have a question from Councilwoman Bearkiller.
I guess that was my concern too, and to look at using the casino like we did at the last council meeting, to use it as a quarantine site and to use our COVID dollars to pay for those rooms for the people in case we needed it, and that's why it was voted on, and I thought it was gonna be okay, but it's coming back again. And like Ryan said, like the COVID is just now getting here, and we're doing testing, and our testing is good. However, there's no guarantee that our people will not be affected by this COVID issue. And as the tribe, I think we need to be ready. And I guess I looked at the equipment that needed and the plan, the 7-point plan, but I still feel like we need to keep this casino closed until maybe August or end of August or September, because those they're saying the peak points and the curve, and we have to consider all of this. And that's why I'm hoping, and I know people are afraid and people are asking to not open the casino. So I think for me, I've always stood and I'm going to vote with the people, and I don't agree with this. And I think the majority of council, you guys know how I voted and what I said last time. So my issue is that I'm not going to support this no matter which way it comes. And as the general manager, if there's other options, he needs to bring those documents for his employees. But if we rent that hotel, There's a lot of money every night that's being rented can be paid for, and that's revenue generating for them too. But I guess we look at all options and whatever. But for me, you know, I'm not gonna support any opening of a casino.
Hell, thank you, Councilwoman Bearkiller. Councilwoman Redanian?
My questions are for Mr. Puyer in regards to, you know, Senate passing another bill for the SBA loans. And we did ask for forgiveness off the initial loan. So what I did ask what was the budget for reopening, and if we had figured that into the cost for this particular loan, the first loan. Did we do that, Mr. Puyer?
This one doesn't cover the opening costs. All it covers is the current payroll and utility costs to maintain the building.
Okay, so this one we're asking for the opening cost. Is that what you're saying? This next loan, and we have a budget. Has that been sent to us? The budget in your 9-step plan?
You do have a budget. And I can have Jackson receipt, I'll step forward to him, but I think he did it last week. He did the EB&D the last meeting.
Okay, if we could get those documents, that would be good to review them. I agree with the fact that, you know, we have to look towards creating the safety for our people. And I realize that, you know, with the 9-step plan, I think we need to push it back. And if we can have another plan for an alternative date aside from July 1st, if we look at August and somewhere within that time frame, if you could bring another plan back with a budget.
Okay. If it's the council's decision to not reopen on July 1st, then I need your support so I can pursue that, the new forgivable loan under the Paycheck Protection Program Flexibility Act, and then positive will pass sometime this week and signed by the president.
Thank you, Mr. Puyer. At this time, I'll ask the task force wanted to address the council and read their documentation that was forwarded to Mr. Puyer.
All right. Good morning, everyone. This is Dakota Highhawk with the task force. We had met in a regular task force meeting on Monday and discussed the casino, and we want to give our official recommendation for tribal council for today's special session. So this is the Oglala Sioux Tribes President's COVID-19 Response Task Force. The task force hereby respectfully submits this recommendation for tribal council consideration regarding the reopening of the casinos. On June 1st, 2020, the task force met and discussed the issues of reopening the tribal casinos. The task force officially recommends that the casinos remain closed for the following reasons. The health and welfare of the people must be the priority during this pandemic. The number of cases is increasing, and the tribe must contain the spread of the virus. The reopening is contrary to the shelter-in-place ordinance and the border monitoring ordinance. The decision to make this recommendation was made by full consensus of the task force. And so we are respectfully submitting this. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Highhawk. Madam Secretary, do I have any other hands up?
Yes, I text you. Cora Whitehorse has her hand up.
Councilwoman Whitehorse?
Thank you. I don't have any of the documents right now. So it's kind of hard to make a decision on that. But my question for Bill, if we move to not reopen today, you would qualify for the second round of the SBA loan, right?
Yes, that's what I'm going to see. Once that particular act is approved by the Senate, so you can sign with the president. I'm going to pursue that rather quickly.
Okay, then I'm going to make a motion that Bill apply for the SBA loan to continue for the paycheck protection for another 60 days. That's my motion.
Second.
Thank you. I got a motion by Councilwoman Whitehorse, second by Councilwoman Killsmall Janice. Motion or Councilwoman Whitehorse, should we include Eastwinds Casino in your motion?
Yes, they should be included. I thought they were all under one. So why would they not be included? Right?
Didn't we make the separation for them when we created separate accounts?
They never separated. They're still under the Prairie Casino.
Okay.
I have Sonia Little Hawk Weston with a question.
Yeah, I also have a hand raised over here. Mr. Little Whiteman has a few words to say too on behalf.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
So could we allow for Mr. Little Whiteman to say a few words before we run this vote? Does he have his hands up?
Okay.
And also we have Chauncey Wilson with his hand up.
Okay, Mr. Little Whiteman.
Morning, Council. This discussion over whether we should open up or not. One of the things that we came with was that we have to have a plan. Irregardless of whether we open or not, we have to have a plan. And that was the approach that we had. And yeah, we did look at our customer base, and that pretty much addresses some of the concern that the task force had or has. And in it, I believe I mentioned it here before, and a portion of that is that there's going to be a lot of different changes that would be made. However, on the third point that the task force made was really an issue that we have no control over, which is your shelter in place and border monitoring. So that was the only, I guess, block to reopening. However, everything else that we've done had the customer in mind. And like I've mentioned before, majority of my customers are pretty much the elderly. So in it, I've mentioned that we would take the precautions. We do realize that the virus spreads through what we said was the saliva, the sneeze, the cough, whatever, the droplets that come from your body to spread. So taking that into consideration, we said that there would be no smoking within that facility. Only purpose for that is because either way, anytime that cigarette touches the mouth of somebody, and then that saliva transfers. And from there it goes to the ashtray. You could get rid of it, but still, then you're creating a contaminated area. So that went along with the beverages, the same principle. The lips will touch the cups become contaminated. Regardless, they're in the trash can becomes the site of any spread. The other one was the suspension of promotions. And the reason why the promotions would be suspended is because what it does is it draws a lot of people who basically sit around within the casino So that becomes a problem for like my customers who are, like I said, of an age where they would be more affected. And we would only allow 48 games operating. So that plan has been there since May, and it's not going to really change at this point. And the biggest question is, am I comfortable with opening up the casino? You know, we all have the Facebooks that we read and stuff, and I do look at the customers' response to that. And I do have one in particular in mind because this particular person is there constantly. Is one of the better customers. However, it was kind of crazy that she didn't want the casino open, which kind of made me realize that at least people are thinking about this virus. So irregardless of whether or not we have good plans to open and so forth, the real decision comes back to the council. Are we ready? I'm still a little uncomfortable about it. You know, we could open up, but at the same time, I'd say there has to be that option that the GMs can close that facility anytime they want. That has to be the option as well, before it even comes to council, because otherwise we're coming to larger spread if it does happen. So for today, that was, I guess, basically my presentation on it was that was the plan. It doesn't change. If it goes to August, it still doesn't change. Those things will still be there. I mean, times have come to where people have to make adjustments to their lives. The idea of coming or gathering at 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening is just not going to work for this reservation. If people wanted to gamble, you know, we're both 24-hour facilities. And like I said, people have to readjust their own personal life. If they truly want to gamble, they would have to come 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when they feel safe. And that's the key. They have to feel safe. So this is really kind of awkward in a way, try to open. We do see the Facebook on the amount of positives that are coming up. And then I guess the other thing to that is you don't know, because there's so many rumors going around about within the districts as to who has it and who doesn't, whatever. I think the tribe needs to step up there and have the task force investigate every one of those rumors, and if they have to, hunt those people down and ask them why. And maybe even come up with a law which prevents people from spreading gossip and, you know, these rumors and so forth, because that's what's creating fear on this reservation. So, you know, for today, like I said, this is the plan that we've come up with. It's based on the customer. It's based on the customer safety. And I do anticipate that if and when we do open, there will be, like I said, complaints that will come through. They want to smoke, you know, they want beverages, they want to boss my staff on to get them coffee or whatever. You know, I mean, that's just human nature. And as far as the promotions go, that's something that they all believe that they entitled to. However, today we're talking about the safety of the customers. So that is basically where we stand as far as Eastman's Casino. So, any questions?
Still have the floor, Mr. Chair. I wanted to, you know, hearing everything from the two GMs, I guess I would like to maybe have the council hear from the safety officer, Mr. Ten Fingers. He's Mr. Poyer said he wants to say a few words also on the safety plan that they have put together. So with all due respect, I think we need to hear them out.
Chair?
Yes, I have. We'll give it to Mr. Ten Fingers, and then I have Councilman Gibbons next.
Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me. Got my mask on again. Looking at the idea of not opening, that's probably going to be up to the council. One thing to look at is the task force. I try to work with them. They never replied back to me. I try to work with them. I get no emails, no phone calls. As far as using the hotel as a quarantine site, they never came and asked. They never came and looked at the blueprints of the building or asked about the building. The hotel, every 4 rooms are connected to themselves. So if you have one person in one room and another one in another room, if they're contaminated and using it as a quarantine site, it's going to transfer to the other room. So every room in every 4 rooms is connected. So that's one of the reasons why I suggest not using it as a quarantine site. Second thing to look at, with the paycheck protection plan, what if they don't get passed? Well, you have 250 employees that are going to be out of the job. You look at the state's unemployment, it used to be $307 extra. Well, that's going to stop it. It hasn't been approved. So one thing to look at is your 250 employees. What are they going to do with that? If you have any questions about the hotel, feel free to ask. As far as the plan, it's good to go. All you need to do is candidate to whenever you get decided. Thank you.
Councilman Gibbons.
Thank you, Chair. I got we got numbers rising in the Wounded Knee District. We got numbers rising across the res. I think it's premature. I'm okay with 30 days revisiting it, getting ready for that. And I highly encourage the GMs of each casino to take care of our tribal member employees. That virus is here. I don't think it's peaked, but putting people together anywhere, just like Miss Bearkiller says, it's dangerous. It's dangerous. I don't know that we can use the hotel for COVID, because that was tried in Rapid City, and that contract I hear is null and void now, and they're selling all their furniture that was in that hotel. So guys, it's here, and we need to deal with it. And I'd like to get a better handle on COVID, the virus, before we start, opening up. I do realize there's a lot of people going to the lakes and going off and doing other recreational activities, and that's on them. That's on them. But as far as the tribe goes with the facility, I'm real iffy. I don't believe it should be 60 days. I'm okay with revisiting it in 30. And this is changing the world, guys, and we're right there with it. So let's be careful. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Gibbons. Councilman Wilson.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and everybody. I just had a quick question for Cora with her motion. Is that 60 days from June 1st or 60 days from now? From June 1st? was June 1st or July 1st, the 60 days starts. I think it needs to go 30 days at a time, not 60, because this changes so fast, drops and goes up and drops and goes up. But that's kind of where I'm at. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wilson.
Use your mic.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Yes, I have, I guess just some comments to make. You know, I think that, you know, that this council has at the COVID-19 issues that have been coming to this reservation. We really did. And I think a lot of us have been saying it. We tried everything to keep the virus off the reservation, but now it's here. And we really need to think about that as tribal leaders. How did it get here? You know, I think that, you know, and how is it spreading? You know, I think those are some of the things that I think about every day because of the things that we've been dealing with and hearing from the task force members. And I think one thing I could agree is I don't want to go 60 days. I think we need to give it 30 days at a time, just like we've been doing with, you know, allowing for them to come back in 30 days and give us a report. But I don't think that we should do 60 days. I think, like Mr. Puyer said, you know, they're covered up to the end of June with the payroll protection plan. But what they're asking for is to start it July 1st. And I think we should, you know, do do it. I don't know if, are you, Cora, are you just looking at 60 days just to be on the safe side? Cora? I don't know, but that's my question. I think the thing that I see is that we should look at it in 30 days. You know, somewhere down the road, we're going to have to decide on opening up the casino somewhere down the road. I mean, everyone, yes, all of us say that. And all of us say we care about our people and that we don't want them to get affected by this virus. But for some reason, in some way, it got here now. And all we can do is start trying to not be in fear. We need to start trying to work around this virus and continue to tell our people to take precautions, safety precautions. You know, I think that we say it all the time, wear your mask, wash your hands, social distance, everything's been there. So we're gonna keep doing this and until, you know, the way I look at it down the road, you know, this casino was put there to attract outside people to come to our casino to gamble. But today we're worried because our people go out there, our tribal members go out there. So there's another side to it. Those tribal members want to get open. So it's not just one side saying, keep it closed. So there's another side. So just like everything else today, people are wanting to go out fishing, go out enjoying the outdoors. There's people that would like the same thing. So we need to keep that in mind, but I don't agree with the 60 days. You know, we should take it 30 days at a time. And allow for the general managers to come back and give us a report, you know, through EB&D committee. And so that way we can make a good decision on it. You know, they have a 7-point safety plan that I read that is covering both casino and hotel. So sooner or later, you know, we're going to have to make a decision. We can't keep being in fear of this virus, but because it's here already and we're working through it. We're trying to protect our people. And the thing that is happening is, in listening to the news this morning, there's a vaccine that they're hoping that will be here by the end of the year. So I think we need to keep optimistic about some of these things. But I think maybe even the 30-day let them come back and give us another report on how things are going.
Thank you. Councilwoman Sears?
Yeah, I think I agree with Cora's motion, but I also agree that maybe in 30 days at our next meeting, we can revisit it. If she would actually, if she would just add that in her motion, because I believe that we have to look out for the best interest of our people, especially with outsiders coming in to utilize the casino. We don't know where they're coming from. So we got to, and with the spikes that are happening in our reservation, I'm concerned about that, and I know that we tried everything, but at least we have the control to at least control it with the casino and the gatherings, because it's not good when you have large gatherings and we don't know where people are coming back from. Even our own people are going to hot spots. So we got to be careful. So I think if the motion maker would at least put in there to revisit in 30 days or at our next council meeting.
Question.
Councilwoman Whitehorse?
I'm not gonna amend my motion. I think that 60 days is not enough. And I'm not living in fear, I'm living in reality. Our people out here, we don't have enough health care. It doesn't matter what we do to protect them, what precautions we take at the casino. There's no way that they're going to have one person cleaning every machine every time somebody puts in a $5 bill, bets, sneezes, whatever. They're not going to have one person cleaning that machine realistically, because they don't have enough employees to do that. So I'm leaving my motion at 60 days, and hopefully there's some kind of treatment for COVID before the year's out. I think we just need to act and really honestly keep I know that Sonia said that this casino was designed to bring people from the outside, but honestly, most of our customers are from the res. Either at East Winds, they're either from our res or Rosebud. So we need to keep them closed so that we don't encourage the social gathering. And honestly, no matter what precautions that we take, this virus is here and it's going to spread. So we need to do our part and make sure that we're keeping people safe by not opening the casinos yet. Until we actually know. Because, there's studies out now that this isn't even a virus, that it's a bacteria. So we don't know. Scientists don't even know. So we need to be safe, and we need to take every precaution that we can. And if that means keeping the casino closed, then that's what we do. So my motion was to have Bill apply for another SBA loan to carry for another 60 days.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehorse. Councilman Jumping Eagle?
Question.
So, Chair, did Cora get a second? If not, I'll second her motion, but also I want to make a point to what Sonia said about we can't compare fishing, our members wanting to fish, to sitting in a packed casino. I don't want our members to think that, they can't go out and fish because, at this time, sitting out on the dam or wherever the creek's fishing, they're not exposing no one. They're alone. So I don't want to, a lot of them, that's kind of a healing for them at this time. And I don't think we should be comparing them to the same, the casinos and fishing. I just want to make that a point. So our members, like I said, that's the way of of coping in this time, and that's the way a lot of people relax doing that. So I just want to make that point. But I'll second Cora's motion. Thank you.
Thank you. I did acknowledge a second from Councilwoman Kilsmall Janice. Madam Secretary, did the superintendent have his hand up?
Mr. Poyer has.
He did. We had the superintendent, and then we have Mr. Poyer here. With
Yeah, we'll come back to them after I go through my list. So, Mr. Superintendent.
Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to offer a perspective that maybe help, I guess, agency to fully reopen and provide services to our staff. We have to show a 14-day downward trend in active open cases. So based on what I've been seeing every day, I'm an optimist at heart, but I'm not inclined to believe that the agency will be fully open until we can consistently meet that 14-day downward trend. So I just wanted to put that out there for you folks.
Thank you, Superintendent Long. Councilwoman Bear Killer.
Okay, so I think asking Bill a question is, with these SBA loans and what you said about Congress, those are going to take like time. And so once you submit it, in reality, we need to like maybe 60, 90 days in order for us to really, or you as the GM, to have that in place for the employees and everybody else. There's 30 days at a time. As soon as it gets off the ground, and 30 days is up. So I think realistically, we need to look at the long-term process of this. And I'm asking Bill that I don't think do you think 30 days at a time will work? Because we shouldn't be playing with this. In reality, we need a solid plan. We need a plan that is going to help the tribal members. And that's what I'm looking at. So Bill, if you know like the time frame, you need to give us the time frame of what all this is going to take for you to apply for.
I've been doing in terms of that loan, and I'm confident it's going to pass, and you have this week or next week. That gives us time. I'll probably work with Mona Gray and Gary Luce as I did last time to get that done for both casinos as it currently stands. Like I said, that particular act runs to December 31st, so I'm confident we'll have the dollars to continue paying our utilities and employees through that date for casinos. In terms of the meetings, I would recommend Stanley and Jackson and I meet with the EB&D once a month to give updates, give our reports, look at our budgets and so forth to see where we're at in terms of reopening. And if you talk about safety for the casino for employees and customers, I can't guarantee nothing. It's impossible. But I know for a fact that, have you been to Walmart lately in Rapid City? I was there last week and there's people walking around all over the place with no mask on, close distance, kids are in there. I'll consider if we do reopen someday, the casino will be a lot safer than Walmart, probably any other store in the state. But like I said, I can't guarantee nothing. I think anybody can to protect ourselves from this particular virus. But again, I'd like to meet once a month with the committee. And I'll go and work real hard. I'd like to get Gary involved and more involved to make sure that we continue with the loan once it's passed by the Senate this week. I hope and signed by the President.
Thank you. I have a hand up by Mr. Gunn.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the council. I don't know if I missed some discussion, but I think that currently there are no more funds in the PPP, and Congress may reauthorize the program. I take it that the motion is just to be prepared in the event that Congress does reauthorize additional PPP funds and allow applicants to submit a second application.
Thank you. Councilman Gibbons.
Thank you, Chair. Our numbers are going up, like we said, in Dakota. There's people trying to get elections going in districts, and the people, you know, they don't want to come out. So I think we need to listen to the task force and their recommendations in 30 days. You know, they've got reasons that are warranted for a 30-day wait at least, and putting our tribal members in harm's way. Totally against that. I'm sorry that Cora don't want to amend her motion, but let's run it, and if it doesn't work, I'll make the motion for the same thing for 30 days. Let's go, Chair.
Thank you. I got a motion and a second on the floor. Madam Secretary, can you restate that motion for everybody before I run it?
Motion to give permission to Bill to apply for another SBA loan to carry for another 60 days from June 1st. Sorry, correction, July 1st.
Thank you. Call for the vote, please.
Garfield Apple?
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons?
No.
Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross?
No.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston?
Yeah.
Jackie Sears?
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulent?
No.
Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse?
Yes.
Valerie Janice?
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian?
Uh-huh.
Ryan Jumping Eagle?
Yes.
Bo Little White Man?
Yes.
Chancey Wilson?
No.
Philip Goodcrow? Randy Laisbed?
No.
Richard Greenwald?
Yes.
Nakina Mills? Robin Tapio?
Yes.
$13 yes, 6 no. Motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Mr. Chair,
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
I'd like to make a motion to allow for the general manager to come back in 30 days to the tribal council for an update on the Prairie Casino, along with Mr. Little White Man on the East Wind Casino side, to give the council a report, but also to they will come through to the EB&D committee. And I think the motion we just ran and was passed only was for the PP payroll protection plan to allow for them to get payroll covered for July and if need be into August. But I would like to make the motion to allow for them to come back in 30 days to give us a report on the casino status. That'll be my motion.
Second that.
I got a motion. I got a motion and a second, but we could just bring them back at the regular session.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to hear from them.
Then, and 30 days would be July 3rd.
Yeah, if you need to call a special, Mr. Chair.
So we could just bring them back 3 days earlier and bring them back at the regular session.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, can I add something to that?
Councilman Cross.
Yes,
we were on a schedule with the both casinos giving reports to EB&D committee, and we started with April 22nd is when we revisited the casino, and last month we had a schedule with the May 22nd when they came back to the EB&D committee, gave us a report, and we would forward that report on to tribal council whether they remain closed or open. And so the next EB&D meeting for them to revisit the casinos is the 26th. And so that 26th will be 30 days, and whatever the casinos decided, then we would 2/3 that on to tribal council, which would be the 30th of June. So if Sonia is okay with that on her motion, we can look at the casinos on the 26th of the EB&D committee, then they 2/3 it on to council, so it doesn't fall under a special, because that way we can stay on track, so they can give their report regularly to tribal council.
Yes, I'm okay with it. Mr. Cross, I'll go ahead and amend my motion to include that we would, hear them on the 26th of June, and then we would 2/3 it on the regular council meeting at the end of June.
Okay, so that don't need a motion. I mean, you guys can just take care of that EB&D committee.
Yes.
And the general manager, you understand to come back to be prepared for the council at the regular session.
Yes, that's including our contract, Stanley and I's contract in terms of when we meet EB&D. That's the first Friday after the 20th of each month. Let him go. 26 works.
Thank you. So we will not be needing that motion. Councilwoman Little, question?
Mr. Chair, I got a quick question in concern over the PPE. That Congress has refilled that twice already, and the way I understand it, they're kind of on a deadlock and may not refill that program. So say we are denied the loan, what then? I mean, we still got payments and employees and everything else that has to be addressed if this loan is denied, and we're going to have to know that before July 1st. So maybe I'll make a motion that if the loan application is denied, that a special called for tribal council to readdress this. Because
right, and I don't think we will need that motion either, Councilman Wilson. I mean, if the general manager will just inform me once he's applied, and then if he's been approved or denied, and then I can just call for the special within 48 hours. Okay, well, because that's a big concern if Congress don't refill them SBA coffers. I mean, we're going to be sitting duck and stuff. So I think as long as we'll have another meeting in case that application is denied, I guess. Yes, I understand, Councilman Wilson, and that I guess to the general manager, if you will inform me immediately as soon as you receive notification whether your loan has been approved or denied.
Okay, I'll do that this Wednesday.
Thank you.
Chair, we have Mr. Steve Gunn with his hand up.
Mr. Gunn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do think I just think the council should know that the way the law is written now, if the casinos have already received a PPP loan, I don't think they're eligible for another one at this time. And whether Congress passes new legislation remains to be seen, and they may be eligible in the future. But just so that the council is aware, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to file a second application right now, and I don't know that that should be your expectation. I do think Jennifer Hughes is on the line. I don't want to put her on the spot, but I want to let her have the opportunity to weigh in on this. But that's my understanding, that an applicant you can submit multiple applications to different banks, but once one is approved, that's it. I think you're eligible for one PPP loan. You could get a different kind of loan, like an economic injury disaster loan or an EIDL loan, but that does not have the same forgivability as a PPP loan.
We have
Thank you,
Jennifer.
Mr. Dunn.
Mr. Chair.
And I think, yes.
Mr. Chair. I have Mr. Poyer that wants to say comment on that, what Mr. Steve Gunn said.
I understand what he's saying, but my thing is that this is a new act that's being amended to extend the Paycheck Protection Program. And I read the language, I didn't see there that did not allow us to apply, so I'm kind of keeping open and keeping my eyes on what the Senate can do this week or the week after in terms of improvement.
Thank you, Mr. Poyer. Madam Secretary, do I have any other hands up?
Yes, Miss Jennifer Hughes.
Madam Attorney Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. President and council members. I think Steve Gunn raises a good point. I think there are two things just that I do believe that you are already preparing for, but whether there is money in the PPP account as it stands right now, I think we had a couple conflicting reports. We thought that there was a run on the money and that it was all gone. However, there is a recent news article, that there is PPP money still available. The second issue being the issue of whether you can submit another application. I don't believe you can submit another application. You may be able to increase the amount you asked for originally in your application. So my recommendation would be, we can research this, but you can also reach out to the bank that you're working with and talk to them, because that's how you're gonna get anything approved in the first instance. But I think it is trying to make sure that everyone understands that there are these sort of major questions of whether this will be a successful effort with PPP.
Question.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Mr. Roos.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I agree with both attorneys and their comments, and I also visited with Will Isham. I was asked to be a part of this and talk to Will. He is in agreement with the attorneys, is what they just said. He said this is changing, on a daily or a weekly basis. But to apply for another loan at this time, he doesn't feel that that's possible. He did offer this to the tribe, though. If you try to get the money through SBA, through another PPP, or a direct loan from SBA, at one time he was told the maximum was $150,000. He's trying to confirm that right now. But he did say if the monies do not come in from other sources, the First National Bank of Gordon would be willing to loan the tribe whatever money it's needed to continue the casino operation until such time it's open. And he would loan that at the lowest possible interest rate that he could. That was not stated to me, but I just got off the phone with him in the last 5 minutes, and he wanted me to assure the tribe that First National will stand behind the tribe in any way they need to keep the casino ready to open or whatever the other tribal needs are. He wanted the tribe council to know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Roos. Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think that not only are we discussing the two casinos and the payroll accounts for when they're going to open, how long we're going to keep our employees furloughed at home, but we also need to look at our own tribal employees because they also fall under this. And now I'm hearing from people that they were notified that they might have to go back to work June 12th. This is tribal employees within our programs that are covered under this act also. So I guess I want to know, those are things we need to think about as tribal leadership. And so I know we have them covered to the end of June, but we're going to need to start talking about how we're going to keep them covered. Are we going to keep them not working? And are we allowed that another round of this payroll protection plan to cover them too? So it's not just the casinos, but it's our tribal programs that are right now today on admin leave.
Thank you. And I'll get with the treasurer and the executive board to gather that information. Because our tribal employees are not on the agenda right now. And then once we gather that information, we have significant information for the council to make a decision. At that time, then we'll call for a special and I will gather the council. But until we have the adequate information for each and every individual council member, then we'll keep going here. But I do understand, and I'll take note of that. And I will ensure that we gather that information prior to calling for a special. I have Councilwoman Tapio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a quick question, and perhaps I've missed this, but have we looked at the option of unemployment for the casino employees to sign up for unemployment? That's my question.
Yes, if nothing else works out in terms of the paycheck protection or the First National, any other funding source, that's our other option. That's our second option, or the last option that we would 12-0.
We have Cora Whitehorse with her hand up.
Councilwoman Whitehorse.
I guess I just have a couple comments from what was talked about just a while ago. Gary, the maximum under paycheck protection was $10 million. It wasn't $150,000. And there are other programs under SBA that we can apply for. You just can't apply for the same one twice. That's what I've read anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. But like Jennifer said, there's the economic impact, whatever it's called, the EIDL loans that we can apply for. And I just think that we need to allow them to apply for those other loans if necessary. And on the tribal employees, I guess this is just a FYI, but on the tribal employees, we did get clearance from OMB, remember at the beginning of this, that said we could still charge the employee payroll to those programs if we were locked down. Remember that? If we had our offices closed. So anyway, just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehorse, for all of that great information. Madam Secretary, do I have any other hands up?
No. Oh, no, sorry. You have Valerie Janice.
Thank you. Councilwoman Killsmall Janice.
Thank you. I just wanted to see, maybe, I don't know if we need a motion or not, but for Bill to work with Jennifer Hughes on, because she's right there in DC, and to get the loan applications through and everything.
That's really. Oh, you can't understand, Bill.
Mr. Roos, if you would mute your mic, we can hear you and the Vice President.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
Thank you. Councilwoman Killsmall Janice, can you restate that? I'm sorry, it was covered by the Vice President's office.
I wanted to know if we needed to do a motion for Bill and Eastwind Stanley to work with Jennifer Hughes on doing their applications and requesting for the loans.
Okay, I will take that motion. To put Hobbs, Strauss, Dean, and Walker with the general manager.
I'll second it if you include the treasurer.
Include the treasurer, and also they stated Gary Roos.
Okay.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second. Motion by Councilwoman Killsmall Janice, second by Councilwoman Whitehorse. To include the treasurer, Hobbs, Strauss, Dean, and Walker with the general manager in the loan applications process. Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
And Gary Roos as well.
Thank you.
Garfield,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears, Vincent Phillips,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valerie Denise,
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian, Brian Jumping Eagle,
Yes.
Bo Little White Man,
Yeah.
Nancy Wilson,
No.
Philip Goodcrow,
Yes.
Brandy Laisbeth,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Nikina Mills, Robin Tapio,
Yes.
Yes. 18 yes, 1 no, motion carried.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So we'll move on into the agenda. And I have the OST Finance Committee 7 Alpha Policy for Emergency Utility Assistance Resolution.
Can the secretary please read that? The new one that was sent this morning.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
That was sent this morning. Pretty sure, yeah.
Or if Jennifer Berry goes on,
I'm here, but
read the newest one.
Jennifer, do you have the newest one?
The utility assistance, yes.
Yes. Will you read it, please?
Yes. Resolution of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, an unincorporated tribe. Resolution of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopting a COVID-19 emergency utility assistance program for expenses related to electricity, propane, wood assistance necessary to ensure compliance with tribal public health ordinances to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. Section 5123. And under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas pursuant to the Constitution and bylaws of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, the Tribal Council exercises legislative powers to enact and promulgate resolutions and ordinances. And whereas Article 4, Sections 1F, 1K, 1M, and 1W empower the Tribal Council to manage the economic affairs of the tribe, protect and preserve the property of the tribe, adopt laws governing the conduct of persons on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas there is a global outbreak of a respiratory disease caused by a novel coronavirus named SARS-CoV-2, and the disease it causes has been named Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID-19, and the World Health Organization declared the outbreak to be a public health emergency of international concern and a global pandemic. And whereas on March 10th, 2020, the president of the Oglala Sioux Tribe declared a state of emergency for the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and thereafter the Tribal Council affirmed the president's declaration of a state of emergency on the reservation. And whereas in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the risk posed to the health and general welfare of residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, as well as those who live nearby and work on the reservation, the Oglala Sioux Tribe established a COVID-19 task force to address the pandemic and has activated its emergency management losses to life, limb, and property on the reservation. And whereas the Tribal Council has adopted several ordinances and resolutions addressing the COVID-19 pandemic and establishing public health precautions designed to prevent and contain the spread of COVID-19 on the reservation, including but not limited to a shelter-in-place ordinance, curfew ordinance, and public health checkpoint ordinance. And whereas Congress has enacted several laws to respond to the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, including the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act, Public Law 116-136, March 27, 2020, which established the Coronavirus Relief Fund, hereafter CRF, and appropriated $150 billion to the fund for fiscal year 2020, of which $8 billion is reserved for tribal governments. And whereas the CARES Act states that a tribal government may use CRF payments to cover only those costs of the tribal government that, one, are necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, two, were not accounted for in the budget most recently approved of as of the date of enactment of this section for the government, and three, were incurred during the period that begins on March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30th, 2020. 42 U.S.C. Section 801D. And whereas the CRF is administered by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and on April 22nd, 2020, the Treasury Department issued Coronavirus Relief Fund guidance for state, territorial, local, and tribal governments, hereinafter Treasury guidelines. And on May 28th, 2020, the Treasury Department issued Coronavirus Relief Fund Frequently Asked Questions, hereinafter Treasury FAQs. And whereas the Treasury guidance provides, in relevant part, that eligible expenditures from the CRF include, quote, expenses of actions to facilitate compliance with COVID-19 related public health measures, end quote, and, quote, expenses associated with the provision of economic support in connection with the COVID-19 public health emergency, end quote. And whereas the Treasury FAQs state in relevant part that relief fund payments may be used for subsidy payments to electricity account holders to the extent that the subsidy payments are deemed by the government to be necessary expenditures incurred due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, end quote. And the Treasury FAQs further provide that, quote, if determined to be a necessary expenditure, a government could provide grants to individuals facing economic hardship to allow them to pay their utility fees and thereby continue to receive essential services, end quote. And whereas a portion of the CRF funds have been released to tribal governments, including the Oglala Sioux tribe. And whereas by motion and vote on May 29th, 2020, the Finance Committee met and recommended a COVID-19 emergency utility assistance program for electricity, propane, and wood assistance for residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation to ensure compliance with the tribe's mandatory shelter-in-place and stay-at-home orders to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And whereas such assistance payments are to be made by the tribe from the CRF funds directly to the electricity, propane, and wood vendors. And whereas the Tribal Council finds that this utility assistance is a necessary expenditure in relation to the COVID-19 public health emergency, because without such assistance, tribal members of limited means will face difficulty in safely taking shelter and remaining in their homes during the tribe's mandatory shelter-in-place and stay-at-home orders, and to ensure residents are able to follow Centers for Disease Control, CDC, recommended hand washing and cleaning guidelines to help limit the spread of COVID-19. And whereas the Tribal Council finds that this utility assistance is a necessary expenditure because the COVID-19 public health emergency and economic crisis has caused residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation to suffer economic hardship and to be in need of assistance to pay their utility fees to continue receiving essential utility services. And whereas the utility assistance expenditure set forth herein is not accounted for in the budget most recently approved by the Tribal Council as of March 27th, 2020. And whereas the Tribal Council has determined that it is in the best interests for the health and general welfare and the protection of its members to approve the foregoing recommendation of the Finance Committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Oglala Sioux tribe does hereby adopt the COVID-19 Emergency Utility Assistance Program for electricity, propane, and wood assistance for residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Oglala Sioux Tribe COVID-19 Emergency Utility Assistance Program. 1. Purpose. Through this COVID-19 Emergency Utility Assistance Program, the Oglala Sioux Tribe will provide utility assistance to tribal member households on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in order to ensure compliance with the tribe's public health measures and to provide economic support to tribal members who need assistance to pay their utility fees to continue receiving essential services during the COVID-19 public health emergency. 2. Eligibility. In order to be eligible for this assistance, a household must submit an application and certification form on a form provided by the Oglala Sioux Tribe, and the individual signing the application and certification form on behalf of the household must certify, subject to pains and penalties of perjury and other applicable punishments under the law, that A, the applicant is an enrolled member of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, B, the applicant is a resident of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. C, the applicant is the head of household and is the only member of the household applying for assistance under this program. D, the applicant has had an adjusted gross income in 2019 of not more than $75,000 for individuals if filing as a single individual or married filing separately. 2, $112,500 if filing as head of household, and 3, $150,000 for married couples filing joint returns. And E, the household needs assistance to pay utility fees in order to continue receiving essential utility services. F, the names of the members of the household are set forth in the application. G, the names of the electricity service provider and propane service provider for the household are set forth in the application. H, the household has not received emergency electricity assistance from the Oglala Sioux Tribe under the CARES Act during the months of April or May 2020. And I, The information contained in the application and certification form is true and accurate in all material respects, and the applicant understands that knowingly making a false statement to obtain utility assistance from the COVID-19 Emergency Utility Assistance Program is punishable under the law. Assistance is limited to only one eligible member per household. 3. Assistance amount. Assistance shall be provided to the eligible household on a one-time basis as follows. A. Electricity, $150 per household. And B. Propane or wood, $160 per household. A household may receive assistance for electricity in either propane or wood. No household shall receive assistance for both propane and wood. 4. Procedures. A. Tribal districts shall circulate and collect application and certification forms. 1. Districts shall ensure application and certification forms are available at district service centers and other prominent district locations and shall make efforts to ensure that each household has access to an application and certification form. 2. Eligible members must sign a form certifying their eligibility. B. Each district shall compile and submit a list of all households that have submitted application and certification forms, together with copies of all application and certification forms, to the Treasurer's Office no later than June 10th, 2020. C. All household names will then be authenticated with the electric companies and propane companies. D. If a household does not have a propane tank, then such household shall be eligible for wood assistance. E. The Treasurer shall review each list to ensure that there will be no duplication in services/assistance. F. The Treasurer shall prepare a final list of eligible households broken down by district. This list will be called the Eligible Households List. G. Households that previously received assistance shall be placed on the Not Eligible list. H. The Treasurer shall establish a budget based on the final eligible households list. I. The final budget and eligibility list shall be presented by the Treasurer to the Tribal Council at the June 2020 regular session meeting for approval. J. Once approved by the Tribal Council, the Treasurer shall begin the payment process. 5. Payment process. A. Payments shall be made for each eligible household directly to the electric companies. B. Payments shall be made for each eligible household directly to the propane companies or wood vendor. C. The Treasurer shall certify that no eligible household receives assistance for electricity more than once under this program. D. The Treasurer shall verify that no eligible household receives assistance for either propane or wood more than once under this program, and no household receives assistance for both. 6. Reporting requirements. A. The Treasurer shall provide weekly reports to the Finance Committee on the payment process until complete. B. The Treasurer shall provide monthly reports to the Tribal Council on the payment process until complete. C. Once the process is complete, the Treasurer shall submit a final written report to the Tribal Council for review and approval. 7. Denial of assistance. Not included, then she or he may file administrative agency. Nothing in this resolution waives the sovereign immunity of the Oglala Sioux tribe, its programs, departments, agencies, officers, employees, or agents. 8. Other assistance programs not affected. This policy will not have any effect on the assistance provided from the energy program or any district that chooses to assist their district members on or off the reservation. Be it further resolved, all such assistance payments shall be made directly to the electricity, propane, or wood vendor by the Oglala Sioux tribe promptly and in no event later than December 30th, 2020. And be it further ordained that because the Tribal Council finds that the costs set forth herein are reasonable and necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the COVID-19 that were not accounted for in the tribal budget most recently approved as of March 27, 2020, the date of enactment of the CARES Act, and the costs will be incurred during the period that begins on or after March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30th, 2020. The Tribal Council authorizes an expenditure of funds from the tribe's Coronavirus Relief Fund CRF payment to cover the cost of the COVID-19 Emergency Utility Assistance Program. Certification.
Motion to approve. That was a mouthful, Jennifer.
Second.
Thank you. I got a motion to approve in the second by Councilman Jumping Eagle.
I had a question.
Chair.
Madam Secretary.
You have Ryan Jumping Eagle and Jackie Sears with their hands up.
Okay, Councilman Jumping Eagle.
So, Chair, I just want to say good afternoon to my buddies Onda and Rex Kwando. So, Chair, so in there it said there was a form that the tribe created. So we've been getting all these calls and we put out the information, but we never saw a form. Is it yet to be created that the people sign? I haven't seen one.
I could respond to that. To that.
Yes.
After discussion with the attorney, they want to follow the guidelines of the CARES Act. They want a certification of income, and they think that everybody needs to apply or have a form put in, so that way there's no duplication. Previously, whenever we discussed it in finance, we just asked for a list from the chairman of the districts, but upon attorney review and their recommendation, that's why it was put into this ordinance to have the forms filled out. So, Jennifer, are you working on a form? Jennifer?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are working on the form. Everything that's in the form is actually in the resolution. It states exactly what's going to be on the form. But yes, we are working on that.
So, Chair, I still have the floor. So this notice that was sent out, I think it was created, I don't know, Cora, maybe by finance company or whoever. Anyway, this form that was sent out, it said every tribal member is eligible that lives within the boundaries. So now that's going to change, right? It sounds like it's income based now, or can you clarify that, Jennifer or Cora?
That was a recommendation from the attorneys, and they set it higher at 75,000 per individual, or 150,000 per family. So we're hoping that everybody falls under that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Sears?
Yeah, I know we took action on this in finance, but there's some situations that had come up with tribal members that don't have electricity at all to meet these health guidelines that we're imposing due to the COVID. So is there any way that we can add in on hooking up people that just don't have electricity at this time? Is there something we can add in there?
You know, I'll respond to that too. Under that budget that we previously did, there was $3 million set aside for emergency electricity assistance, and to me, it seems like that would fall under that, to make sure that every tribal member has access to water or hot water. That we could use part of that fund to pay for that, but I think that would have to go to Mason. But to me, it seems like they would fall under that, the emergency assistance.
Okay, so we just approach Mason with a request, because I do have a couple people that don't have lights at all.
Yeah, I think we should discuss that with him tomorrow in finance.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilman Goodcrow, Councilman Laisbad, and Councilwoman Merdanian.
Thank you, Councilman Goodcrow.
Thank you. The same question, but Ryan has too, that from what I understood, was all tribal members, and regardless of income, but now we're set similar to the 1,200 stimulus package that was given to everybody across the nation. And what was telling people to just go ahead and submit their names and their account numbers, from what I gather at the last finance meeting that we had, and so telling everybody not only from the myself, but there were people calling, but also at the CAP office. So they gathered all the names, and so now we have to come up with a comprehensive package, application plus a certification package of income. So that complicates things, but I guess if there's no other way, I guess we'll have to go that route. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a resolution. That should be a resolution. Oh, yeah, that's all this. Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Goodcrow. Councilman Laisman?
Thank you. My question was the forms that are being fixed. How quick will the forms go out to the districts? And I hope that district centers out there listening, they're listening to what we're discussing as of right now. So we'll be on the same page, because that's the key. Information, get this information out through Keeley as of right now. And I hope the district centers are listening to Keeley and understanding that there are forms being created and they will be sent out. Am I correct? So that means that once these forms get to these district centers, people will go and apply under this application and certification for income. So that's how I understood it as of right now. People to go to the district centers, fill out the application along with their certification of income, then these forms will be basically brought back to the track. Am I correct?
Can I respond?
Yes, Councilwoman Whitehorse.
The attorneys are drafting those applications and certifications. And I think that as council people, we could take a little responsibility and help those forms be distributed throughout our districts. And if people need help filling them out, maybe we could help them fill them out as well. But they should be completed soon.
Yes. Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehorse.
Chair.
Madam Secretary, do I have anybody before Councilman Jumping Eagle?
Councilwoman Mardania.
Councilwoman Mardania and then Councilman Jumping Eagle.
Thank you. Thank you to Finance Committee for working on this. I know it's a lot of work to try to structure and organize this type of initiative. My recommendation is, why are we utilizing a program who's able to provide those services, for example, with the energy LEAP? Why can't we funnel this so that they provide the verification along with the application as they do for their funds that they receive? I just feel like this program's a little bit better set up to handle the requests that are going to be coming in with verification. They do, I believe, have the software to follow through with all of that and reporting all of that information back to the treasurer. It's just a recommendation, an idea. Same with, Running Strong has been doing a majority of our water hookups. If we could set aside some funds to give to Running Strong and identify those individuals who need their water hookups, as that's been a big discussion in some of our committee meetings, due to the fact that IHS is not able to meet those needs with the water hookups. So again, just some recommendations, and then what is the deadline to try to get these applications in from the districts?
Possible.
Question.
Yes, Councilwoman Whitehorse.
Originally, we had a deadline of June 10th, and then at Finance Committee, they recommended June 5th. But I think that we need to wait for the form to come in, and we just need to try to get it in as soon as possible, before the end of the month, I imagine.
Okay, and then the possibility with partnering with some of our OST programs to assist us in this process, is that something feasible?
Have an income verification in there, or a certification of income, whatever they want to call it. But LEAP is a low income program, and I think their income guidelines are limited. So I don't know if people will apply for assistance through energy, or if they would even be able to go up to 75 or 150,000, because I'm not familiar with their software, honestly.
It was just a recommendation, because I know that it's going to create a lot of manpower to try to review all the applications and put together all the list of eligibility and non-eligible.
Yeah, that's understandable, but we do also have to keep in mind that LEAP only has, 2 employees? And right now, with us as council and our federal monitors, we can gather the information, and I'm sure Mason will put someone from his staff, probably a couple of the people upstairs, to help create the list.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I'm just saying, it doesn't hurt to ask if the program could assist us in this initiative.
Thank you, Councilwoman Whitehorse and Councilwoman Merdanian. Councilman Jumping Eagle.
So, for clarification to our listening audience, that it's going to be 2 things, right, Cora? The first one's going to be electricity. The second one is going to be propane or wood, whichever one they use, right? So it's going to be, out for 2 things, right?
Yeah. On one form, so you only have to fill out 1 form and 1 certification. You just have to.
So
we just have to make sure that the electricity provider.
Yeah. So what I'm asking though is they're getting help with 2 things, right? Is what
yes.
The confusion was too. Okay, thank you.
I have Councilwoman Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Steve Gunn, Nakina Mills, and Jennifer Barrigo.
Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Right now today we got district members that are texting or calling needing propane. I think that just recently we took the tribe took care of a bunch of light bills, and I think our people have been questioning us about if their light bill was paid or not. And I think that's all we were doing was trying to figure out if those light bills were paid, and checking with Mason. Mason said they were paid. And so, when we have to tell our district members that, yes, they were paid, then yesterday we just found out that they were currently being posted to their accounts. So they're just now getting posted. So our people are getting the pink slips in the mail, and they're getting worried that they're going to get shut off, and that's kind of what they're being told. So now we're having people calling us about propane. Some are out of propane. So I guess the sooner the better with this form. It seems like we have to follow the guidelines of our CARES Fund Act, and I understand that. Okay. But we also need to make sure we're accountable for every penny of this money that we're getting. So our people need to understand that too, and I'm hoping they're listening. I know they are listening. So there's going to be all kinds of questions after today's meeting on where do they apply, and it says it all here what the attorney just read. But I guess on one of the parts here, maybe Cora could answer this. But on number 3 on the assistance amount on page, I think it might be the resolution, And then it's, 1, 2, the third, page where on the bottom where assistance amount, it says assistance shall be provided to the eligible household on a one-time basis as follows. A, electricity, $150 per household, and B, propane or wood, $160 per household. I think what one of the councilmen just raised a question on that where it says and. So it looks like we're giving, we can give it twice even though we're saying it's not. We can only give one. Little confusing, he said. So I guess, attorney, I guess we need to get that part clarified, but I think.
I can respond to that.
Okay, so, Mr. Goodcore had that question on that, but, I think just to say that, we need to, get the form done sooner or later here so we can get them. I don't mind, working with my federal monitor and doing that. But I think that, the other hand, I do know that the Energy Office does have quite a bit of the information already up there in their office with our 9 districts. And a lot of our people that are coming to us, a lot of them are all on a fixed income. I can say that, and they need the help. And so I think that there's no problem if we give it to Energy Office to help out too. But again, we have federal monitors that can also help with it. So I don't have a problem with that too. But yeah, just we just need to get that form then done because that way we can get everything submitted and people can get propane. It sounds like it might be a while though. As soon as we get them put in and them approved through the treasurer's office, then they'll get propane ordered. So I hope they're listening. It's just not going to happen just overnight here, Cora.
Okay, Sonia, to your first question about electricity and propane, in finance, we discussed assisting with both. Remember that there was, and the reason it says one time is because we did help over almost 500 people with those first 2 payments to the electric company. And then we got complaints from working class or whatever, the working poor as they're called, about them struggling to pay their bills and not getting assistance at all. So that was why we discussed helping everybody under this program. And if they already got assistance, which meant their bills were brought current, then they wouldn't get assistance again. That's the one-time thing for electricity. And the one-time thing also for propane or wood was to ensure that people had access to hot water. And we discussed assisting or a process for assisting with propane, but nobody came up with any ideas. So our idea was just to put it all into one and help with electricity and the heat source, either wood or propane. So that's the answer to question number 1. If you got assistance already in those first 2 rounds of emergency assistance, then you won't get assistance with electricity, but you can qualify for propane or wood. Everybody else can apply. I mean, everybody can apply, but if you've already gotten assistance, again, you won't get assistance for electricity. And the second question on utilizing low energy, we, like I said previously, we put a higher income limit so that way most of the people on the reservation can qualify. And then the third thing about the form, Steve Gunn just posted that they finished the form. So we can get it out as early as tomorrow. Maybe he could send it to the secretary so she could make copies so we can get them to the districts. But was that all of your questions, Sonia, or was there more?
There was a whole bunch more, Cora. No, just joking. No, thank you for clarifying that. But I think we said energy office, but I think the point of contact should be the districts.
I think that's a good idea too, because they have the lists of their actual household members.
Yeah, and they pretty much have the census stuff too that they can be updating as they're going along.
Yeah, that way if somebody doesn't put in an application, then we can either go out or send our federal monitors out to take them the application. So that way everybody has a chance to apply.
Comment.
Thank you. I have Councilwoman Mills.
Thank you. My first question is, Cora, is there an option? I don't know if the attorneys can do this either, but the possibility of doing like an online form. I'm concerned, now we have our laws in place and trying to keep people home, but my concern is now people are going to be coming out to get these forms filled out, whether at districts or however districts decide to get these forms in for the people. But I was just taking a look online on some kind of online forms that could be created on if we could do that as an option. I know that's kind of probably a long shot because we're slowly moving in the direction for technology in that way. And then my next question would be I know in Finance Committee, we had discussed about the off reservation, our tribal members that reside off reservation. And we had asked for a legal opinion. And I did see that in our email. So I was kind of wondering how, based off of that legal opinion, if we was going to discuss that, or if we were going to leave that up to districts, or if you guys had discussed that.
We hadn't discussed it except to ask for the legal opinion, and that's supposed to be on tomorrow's agenda for finance. But the online form I think is a great idea. But I think we would need a central place to send the forms back to. We could post a form on the website and maybe the Facebook page, or maybe they have a option where they could fill out the form. I'm just trying to think how they could do that.
Yeah, and it was just to throw it out there. We could have more discussion on it tomorrow. Maybe I'll research some stuff, and then I'll come to finance tomorrow, and we can come up with some sort of plan or how that might look.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. I have Councilwoman Killsmall Janice.
Yeah. I think my questions were answered, but I was going to make a recommendation that, the district service centers have already been taking getting all the light bills. But if they have to fill out the form, then I don't know, we're going to have do a drive-by thing or to set it up that way.
Okay, Councilman Laisbad.
Thank you. Going back to eligibility too, and the certification forms. They need to have attached check stub in Cora. Do they need something like that attached for certification of income? Yes.
You mean like a check stub or something?
Yes.
No, actually, the attorneys just drafted a form saying that you certify your income is less than the limit.
Okay.
Or that's what me and Jennifer talked about this morning. But I haven't seen the form that Steve did yet. But he said it's done.
Do you want me to put it on the screen?
Yeah, that would be great.
Would that be okay, Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Gunn.
Okay.
I have
Yeah, I'll do that.
Question on after Sonia.
Yeah. I had Philip Goodcrow and Sonia Little Hawk Weston.
Yeah, I got them on the list. I give the floor to Mr. Gunn.
Okay.
This is the application. It's a draft, but it would have the name, the district, the address, phone number, names of household members, the name of the electricity service provider and propane, and then what the applicant is requesting assistance for. Electricity, they would just check that box, and they would check for propane or wood, and then circle 1, propane or wood. And then this is the certification, and they would certify to the different things that are in the resolution. They would certify that all of these are true and correct. And it would let them know that it is subject to penalty for knowingly false statement, and they would sign it and date it. And this way, it gives the tribe the assurance that the assistance is going to families that have certified that they are in need of the assistance. Right here. And actually, we could actually put here needs in order to continue receiving utility services, and in order to comply with the tribe's public health measures, including shelter in place and curfew. I think we should put that there. So this is designed to protect the tribe in the event that anyone ever says this was not a COVID-19 related expense. You would be able to say, we asked everyone to certify that they were financially needy and that they needed the assistance in order to continue receiving utility service, to allow them to shelter in place. But I can email this to the secretary if you want to see it in email form, or if anyone has comments on it right now.
You have comments on it before you.
Thank you. I have Jennifer Bear Eagle.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to make a note on the resolution. Before you take any action on it, I would like to add number 2, letter H, the line that says the household, this is one of the qualifications. The household has not received emergency electricity assistance from the Oglala Sioux tribe under the CARES Act during the months of April or May 2020. Just add a short little phrase right before that just says for electricity assistance. That way it's clear to people that receiving that assistance is not going to disqualify you from the propane or wood. Only for the electricity. And then the other thing is, if you would like the dates changed within the resolution, we still do have those deadlines, the June 10th and then the the June 10th deadline to receive all the forms, and then that the final list presented to council at the June regular meeting. But if you'd like those changed, let me know and I can make that change within the resolution and send it back.
Thank you. Jennifer Hughes.
Hello, thank you. So my comment, frankly, goes back to the concerns about kind of the manpower and the work related to getting the certifications and out there to the people. I like the idea of online, if indeed there's a central place and someone manning that to collect the forms online. I just want to make sure that the council, the tribe, is keeping in mind in the new Treasury frequently asked questions, it makes clear that the tribe can use fund payments on necessary administrative expenses with respect to a new quote unquote grant program established to disperse amount received from the fund. So my view, and I think talking with Steve and Jennifer Bear-Eagle last evening, is that, if the tribe is thinking it's short on manpower, or people are going to be overburdened trying to get these logistical pieces of this program implemented, you can turn to your fund to cover those costs. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I do think that what you have in front of you does tie very closely to the requirements of the CARES Act, and will line up with the Treasury guidance and FAQ for use of the funds. So thanks. I just wanted to throw those two things in.
Thank you. Councilman Jumping Eagle.
So, Chair, I don't think we need to chop this up all day long. It looks good. The attorney just said everything's in there that needs to be there. So if we need a motion to approve this, I'll make that motion. And I'll also include what we just heard, that we can use CARES Act funding to help with this process. So in the motion, I'll include that each district, I don't know how they want to do it, but hire at least 5 people per district to help go and distribute this and help with the process. That would be my motion.
Mr. Chairman? I'll second that, but I still have a comment.
We did have a motion by Whitehorse, seconded by Jumping Eagle on this.
Okay, so I still have a comment, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Councilman Weston. Oh.
So my motion was to approve this form and then hire them 5 per district. So that's a separate motion. Sorry.
Isn't it the same thing as
I can add that into the other motion. I'll accept that amendment and change the date to June 25th rather than June 10th to give people more time to gather the information. And accept that amendment from Jennifer.
Cora.
Yeah.
Okay.
So none of them will be getting turned off, because that's what I'm getting phone calls on, that they have their how the 5th.
In those first two payments, everybody who was past 30 days was paid. And those were from lists that came from the electric companies, except for Black Hills Power.
Thank you. I have Councilwoman Little Hawk Weston.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a question a while back from Ms. Niels about helping people in the off the reservation. I think we discussed that. I wasn't in finance, but I'm not in finance, but on Friday I went to their meeting and we did address that in there. But I remember Mr. Gunn telling us at one of our meetings a while back that in the CARES Act that it didn't allow for us to help off reservation. It just said on reservation. So maybe Mr. Gunn needs to clarify that, for us, because we do have tribal members that live off the reservation that are always asking for help too, and they are asking for help. But I think in this resolution that the attorney read just now, it says that if the districts decide to help people off the reservation, then that would be up to them. But I think we still need to get that clarified, Mr. Gunn.
I'm here, and I don't recall making that statement. I think that there was a resolution that was before the council that specifically limited what the tribal council was doing to on reservation, and the question was whether you wanted to change it. I know Jennifer Hughes has looked at this, and she and I have talked about it, and we're not aware of any restriction in the CARES Act or in the guidance that would limit the tribal government from providing assistance to tribal members off reservation. You just have to you have to meet the criteria that the expenditure whether it's for on reservation or off, is a necessary expenditure due to the COVID-19 public health emergency. So you would have to say that it's a necessary expenditure of the tribal government due to the COVID-19 public health emergency. But I think the issue that you're referring to was there was a resolution where the council was wondering whether or not it was going to extend to off reservation. But I'm not aware of anything in the act or in the guidance that would restrict it. You just have to meet the eligibility criteria for the use of CRF money. And the most important one in this regard is that it's necessary expenditure related to the COVID-19 public health emergency, because I'm assuming it would be previously unbudgeted and that it would be made before December 30.
Okay, so
I wonder if Jennifer Hughes might want to say something on that.
Steve,
I think this is Jennifer Hughes. Thank you. I won't repeat everything Steve just said. I agree. We are of the same mind. And in your email, frankly, just earlier this afternoon, you have a brief memo from me, from Hob Strauss, I should say, that lays that all out for you as far as use of the CRF funds for off-reservation members. So if you have questions about that, I'm happy to answer them, but I agree with Steve. The main thing is making sure that there are necessary expenditures to address the COVID-19 public health emergency.
okay, thank you, Jennifer. And Steve, that's what we want to hear. That way, when our districts are taking out these forms filled out by our district members on reservation, you're going to have the off-reservation tribal members also applying. So I just want to make it clear that we all understand that. So when questions start coming to us, we know that that's what our attorney said. So we understand that the districts, you know, they can still be allowed to apply for it as long as it's COVID-19 related. So that's what I wanted to get clarified today. The second thing I had a question on was in your form, is there some place in there where you're going to have maybe for them to, if they're applying for electricity, to have a place in there to put their account numbers, their electricity account numbers, and what light company they're with should be also put in there. I don't know if and you know, the place too also should have a place where it has address, but maybe a physical address too should be a part of that, so they can find out where they exactly, the propane company sometimes wants that. So I guess just throwing those two questions out there, account number and what light company, if it's lights. The third question I had, which was raised by people listening, is some of us are just, we only have electricity that heats our home and we have for lights. But it's not fair to us when we're not allowed to go the third round, because if we got help the first round for 150, everyone else that doesn't have that is still eligible for wood and propane. Just a question to put out there to Finance Committee. And
okay, thank you for your question. Councilman Laisbed?
Oh, no, I didn't have a question.
I had Philip Goodcrow.
I have a question also.
Okay, Councilman Goodcrow?
Well, thank you. Earlier, and what I was trying to get at is that it says, you know, right now, if you're eligible, if you haven't received assistance before, you're eligible to get electricity and propane or wood. But on this one here, under procedure, what is that? If you receive electricity payments earlier in the month of May or April, you're not eligible to receive any assistance, but it seems like you should be eligible to receive propane, even if you had your electricity paid before. So that's just some of the current concerns that are comments that are committed, and also I wanted to bring that forward.
President, I have a question.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Goodcrow. Councilwoman Bearkiller?
I think we should just run the vote on this. And all the other questions that are coming can be dealt with in committee. But I was going to ask if you as the president could send a letter to the electricity companies and to ask them to work with us on trying to disconnect pink slips, all this. I think we need to tell them they need to work with us because we do have the money and they know it. But then they're putting a lot of pressure on their customers. And it's not the tribe's fault. When we send them in, they only have, like Lake Creek only has one lady posting, for $52,000. So, it's not us, but it's them. And based on that, I think you should write them a letter. You can write them a letter and explain that these pink slips, it should be held off till they, I guess, upload or they account those credit or they put the credit into those accounts. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bearkiller. And I will address that. Both the Nebraska and Lake Creek have been pretty cooperative in working with the tribe for the last few months. So I will get with them.
I could answer that, Julian.
Yes.
I could answer that real quick. I've been working with both NPPD and Lake Creek, and the sending out of those forms and whatnot are just automatic mailings that come from the companies. They're posting everything as fast as they could. They have also NPPD said they're not turning anybody off. There's a few things where they've sent me to have people getting turned on, but we just never approved anything through finance or anything through tribal council. Lake Creek is the same boat. They're not turning anybody off. If anybody got disconnected, let me know right away. I'll call them and see. But most of the ones that you been sending me the names and whatnot and stuff, they're either on the list, things are getting posted, just taking the time to getting everything correct on their end. And they're just making sure, the money that got sent over there is posted to the right people. And, give them time. But some of those postings some of those mailings and whatnot, those are automatic things that go out from these companies. And I got assurance that they're not shutting anybody off, both NPPD and Lake Creek. So they've been working with us, Lydia. And so if somebody says that they're not working with you or working with those individuals, maybe those individuals, maybe they just don't see that their bill has been paid or not. And those are the ones that if you contact me and let me know who they are, I'll look and see if they're on the list. If they're not on the list, I'll contact Lake Creek and ask why, or NPPD. There's always something there that either maybe just their name got missed. Like there's a few of them, they were just slowly getting posted and everything, and things were moving. NPPD actually has 2 people that are going back and double checking, making sure everybody's bill got paid and got applied. I got that call last week on Friday, and I don't know if they worked through the weekend to get that stuff, checked on, but they've been working with us, Lydia.
Okay, well, that's all I wanted because we're just going around circles here talking about the disconnect and the pink slips and all of that. That's why I brought it up.
Okay, thank you, Treasurer Bearkiller and Councilwoman Bearkiller. Madam Secretary, can you restate the motion before I run the vote?
Okay, the motion to approve the utility assistance resolution with the amendments to change the start date to June 26th, to include the district cap offices to hire somebody to assist with the applicants.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote.
Garfield Apple.
The hiring for 5 people, right? All they said in the motion?
Right.
Okay. Yes.
Glenn Gibbons.
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller.
Yes.
James Cross.
Yes.
Sonia Littlehawk Weston. Jackie Sears.
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
Yes.
Craig Dillon,
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Valerie Janice,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Ryan Jumping Eagle,
Yes.
Go Little White Man, Go Little White Man, Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald, Richard Greenwald, Nikina Mills,
Huh.
Robin Tapio,
Yes.
Jennifer, can I vote on this still?
Yeah.
I accidentally hung up. I'd like to make a yes vote.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you.
That'll be 17 yes, 1 not voting.
17 yes, 1 not voting. Motion carried. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next item.
The OST social nutrition budget resolution.
Question. Before we move in, Mr. President, I have a question.
Okay.
Question for Cora, I guess, our finance committee. Maybe you guys will address it tomorrow, but getting text messages from the district executive board, wanting to know who is hiring these 5 people in the districts. I guess we still need a process for that too. You know.
Yeah, and then they can also, I mean, even the district chairs, I will put a text out. They can bring all their questions and stuff like that to the finance committee tomorrow.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So moving on into the agenda, we have the social nutrition program and budget.
Sure, I had a question.
Yes, Councilman Greenwald.
All right, I had my hand raised for a little while, but my question is, the finance committee is the budget for all this. You guys are hiring 45 more people on top of the 81 that you guys already approved for the COVID stuff for the district. So that's going to bring them up to 14 employees at the district offices altogether. Where's the money coming from? You guys need to have a budget. You need to post a budget online. Right now, it just really sounds like you're just throwing money all over the place. And I haven't seen a budget for any of this at all. You know, and I get calls from people saying it must be election season. Everybody's just throwing money around. So I want to see some budgets to this stuff. We're not just spending money, you know, that we might end up having to pay back if we don't do it right, you know. It's kind of a scary period. A tribe could owe back millions of dollars, and where's that going to come from? It's going to come from the casino dollars, so the district won't get money for as long as it takes to pay the government back. So to the finance chair, I want to see some budgets. I have a right to see the budget too, and my district members have a right to see the budget and how you're spending it. What's the budget for this fuel cost? You know, the ones that already got their help, according to what you read, they're not going to get help again anytime soon. So what is the new budget for this? I know the first round was like $250,000 that was approved. Then we did another second round, and I don't know if we used the same money. Now you're doing another round of stimulus for energy assistance. Where's the budget at? Can you guys send us a budget?
Whenever we discuss this, we discuss getting those numbers and having Mason present it at our meeting. The 5 employees went just to gather the information, and it doesn't even have to last 2 weeks. Whatever amount it takes to gather the information. And originally, I thought we could do it as council people and our federal monitors if we have them. But council wants to hire a few more people or 5 more people per district. So we don't have a budget. that would have to come from Mason, and the final budget would be of the amount of assistance would have to come to council. That's why we set the date, a deadline date, and then Mason will bring the final amount to council before it's approved.
Okay, Councilwoman Merdanian.
That was my question, is what Councilman Greenwald had mentioned, is I was wondering about a budget as well. So just needing to know that information.
Yeah. I have a comment.
Okay, Treasurer Bickrell.
That was me, Ryan.
That wasn't me. That was Ryan, actually.
Mason, you have your hand up?
That was earlier when I was going to talk about the Lake Creek and NPPD, but I guess, well, since I'm on, Coral's right. You know, I don't have the budget set up yet because you guys threw these new positions at me and stuff. So I'm going to have to develop that. And in the resolution, it does say that I come back to the tribal council with that first before it's even approved. So I wouldn't have any budget set up for just this portion. The overall budget, you know, there's $3 million set aside on this and stuff. And as these projects come through, we'll develop the budgets and we'll bring them to either finance committee or tribal council. But the new positions that were just talked about, those will have to be created. We're going to have to go through the process of getting people hired. And then you got to remember, we can't just say we're going to hire 4 or 5 people and stuff and then expect it to be done ASAP. You know, we still have to follow the process for hiring day laborers or temporary positions or whatnot. It's just not something that can happen overnight. You know, so there's if you're going to hire new people, you know, there's a process on that. So that's going to have to take a little while for us to get those going. You know, then let me look at a different possibility of you know, I do have people on staff. We could get those. It's not too hard to get these forms out, you know. But if you want to hire 5 more people at each district, you know, that's kind of a big deal there. But again, you know, we still have to follow the process for hiring these people and then getting them paid and all this other stuff. But again, that's, you know, a new budget that's going to be coming out just for this. So stay tuned on that. We'll get that out to you guys as soon as we get the numbers.
That'll be with expenditures and everything, Mason, everything we spent up to date, the total grant of $3 million, how much is left in it, what's being budgeted, what's it's budgeting for, so that the people could see it, like maybe post it online or something. People could know what we're spending the money on.
If that's what you guys want, that's up to you. Once I give you the information, that's up to you guys to do whatever you want with it.
That's the people's right to see it. It's not up to us in the circle. The people of this tribe have a right to see how we're spending their money. And that includes everything all the way up to the checkpoints, everything. We need to show them a budget and how we're spending their money.
Comment.
Yes, before I go to Councilman Jumping, I have Jennifer Berrigo.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to clarify something that may have been misconstrued earlier. This program that this resolution you're about to vote on for the emergency utility assistance is for on-reservation members only. It's drafted only to address on-reservation members. The question was whether the funds in general could be used to assist off-reservation members, and that's the legal opinion that was prepared and sent to you, and the short answer is yes. But this resolution, this program, is only for utility assistance for on-reservation members. The Section 8 that states other assistance programs not affected, I'll just reread that to you. This policy will not have any effect on the assistance provided from the energy program or any district that chooses to assist their district members on or off the reservation. What that's saying is that this doesn't impact the energy program. It doesn't impact whatever a district decides to do on its own. That's unrelated to this program. So this utility assistance program you're about to, or that you did vote on, is for on-reservation. This program is for on-reservation.
Okay, thank you, Madam Attorney. Councilman Jumping Eagle.
So the reason why I proposed 5 workers to help in the districts is because a lot of the district service centers, their staff are on that leave for this COVID. And I know here at Medicine Room, all we have is 1 staff member there. I mean, maybe I don't know if we can amend that and, you know, what do you call it, that motion of hiring 5, like Mason said. Now that I think about it, it is going to take a while. It has to go through the process. So maybe we can somehow rescind that motion and then have the chief of staff, you know, get the service center workers back just for that time period or something, you know. And you know, I didn't really think of when I proposed that how long that process would take, and these 5 people probably wouldn't be hired for a couple of weeks, and that'd be coming close to that deadline. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Jumping Eagle. And under the state of emergency, remember, we can also re-identify our staff and move them around accordingly to wherever the help is needed. So we can work with the chief of staff's office to either recall some of those employees. I know a lot of them do have underlying health conditions, but we can recall them, or we can take whatever employees we have that are able to perform under this pandemic and move them accordingly to assist our CAP offices.
Well, maybe we need to do that. Maybe Cora can rescind her motion. How can we make that? It's up to Cora, though.
Part of the resolution.
Wait.
Yeah. Should say approved.
Madam Secretary?
Yes, we have Glenn Gibbons and Robin Tapio and Jackie Sears.
Thank you, Councilman Gibbons.
Thank you, Chair. Today we passed something already. Let's let Mason and the treasurer do his job, and he will come up with a budget, and we'll work on it from there. And there are different options. I'm sure they'll come as we go. And you know, council, that this is probably a mute deal now, but let's let Mason come up with his budget. We need to move on. We were trying to 2/3 something on, and at this time, the executive, one of the executive board members, I'm going to yield the floor to her, Miss Babette Thin Elk, and she's got some concerns, and she knows about the meeting with the treasurer, Dean, and Hobart and Casey going out to the districts. But at this time, I'll yield the floor to Babette. Do you see her number, Jen?
I did. I met her.
Turn around the ball. Stay focused.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Babette Dinelk. I'm the Wounded Knee District Secretary. We were really concerned about some issues that had came up in the last council meeting. We were unaware of any of these actions as the executive board. And saying that, we are concerned last night, as of last night, I finally got notice of these issues. There was word out, but as an executive board, we did not have documentation or were given or notified of these procedures that have been pushed by some community members about 4 of them, maybe 5, I'm not sure. Again, last night at 10 o'clock is when I found out that there was this document. It might have been out. It's talks about the election for the Wounded Knee District. And it says the contact person is Jennifer Rowland. And it tells all about the conduct and drive-up election, how it's going to run. It's just, I as a district secretary, I would think that I would have been one of these to get this notice. This came out on Facebook, and I had to see it off someone else's page. I am getting, a lot of different views on this election. One of the concerns we have at the district level is the amount of positive cases in our district. We are a hot spot. Last month in April, when we couldn't run our election, is because our district was on a lockdown. So me and Dave, Janice, the president, had decided, and 3 of our other members, they took, really to heart the OST, the tribal councils, move on a stay-at-home order. And 2 of them I know do have family members in their home that have underlying conditions. One of them does have, a little one. So we found it reasonable that they did not, come. And now within last night and this morning, we find this drive-up polling election being at Manderson and Manderson White Church across from the school and the Wounded Knee Post Office. I'm really concerned as a district secretary because many, as you know, and the numbers came out this morning. Oh, shoot.
Okay, I think we lost that connection. However, we're getting off the agenda. We already passed the utility. We're on the social nutrition program.
Okay, you still gave me the floor, Chair. I'll make it brief. They're trying to have an election in Wounded Knee, and they're trying to make it as safe as possible, and they're working on a plan. So when the executive board gets that all figured out, when safe as possible, they will have an election. So thank you, Chair.
Councilwoman Tapio.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be very brief. This is in what we just discussed about, and I think it's very important, as Mr. Greenwald was saying, that we need to let people know. And this goes back to our policy, and I'm hoping that the attorneys will maybe draft something, because I did get some calls from some people in Rapid City, and they were very, irate about not getting their light bill paid. And one of them even said, you guys use our U numbers down there, and then you don't want to help us up here in Rapid City and surrounding areas. So I think it's imperative that the attorneys draft something stating what I understood from Ms. Whitehorse. We had this discussion was that we used the Nahasda numbers. And so if that's the case, then we need to let the people know, especially the people that do not reside on the reservation, as far as the assistance policy goes for lights and propane. So I think that's really important, because I'm sure everybody's gotten calls from people not living on the reservation that want assistance. So we need to clarify how we came up with the policy, and if we included them or if we did not. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tapio, and I can weigh in on that. I mean, that's something we can have the attorneys draft on the formulation that came down. However, it wasn't our choice. In all the meetings that we had with the Treasury of the United States, was we asked repeatedly and try to fight for our numbers to be taken from the enrollment office. However, it was on behalf of the United States that they went and used the Nahasda number. So the money, the formulation, how the money came down to the tribe was based on those Nahasda numbers, which was a little over 17,000 enrolled members.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that clarification, but I still think we need it in writing so we can let the other people know. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Tapio. Councilwoman Whitehorse, or who has the resolution for the social nutrition program?
Marigold will resolution.
Okay, Madam Attorney Barrygold, can you please read that resolution? We have moved on to that item in the agenda. Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes.
Before she reads it, we did talk this morning, and there was a couple of items from that budget that was submitted that would not fall under the CARES Act guidelines. So the amount has changed, and originally the motion was to send this to Mason first and have him figure out what was allowable and where the money could come from. But I don't know how that got skipped.
Madam Attorney, did you record that motion?
The motion is.
I didn't make a motion. I didn't make a motion, but I was just giving information.
Okay.
Okay, and I did in the packet that Lynn sent on that was forwarded on to the council, it does have a short explanation from me. I think she included my email that sort of explains the dollar amount difference and what those two items were, from the difference between that and then the item that went to Finance Committee. So I'm going to go ahead and read this ordinance. Ordinance of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, an unincorporated tribe. Ordinance of the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopting an amendment to the FY 2020 OST Social and Nutrition Program budget for an increase in the amount of $100,916.74 and for the increase to be funded by the tribe's Coronavirus Relief Fund payment. Whereas the Oglala Sioux Tribe adopted its constitution and bylaws by referendum vote on December 14th, 1935, in accordance with Section 16 of the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, 25 U.S.C. Section 5123. And under Article 3 of the Constitution, the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council is the governing body of the Oglala Sioux Tribe. And whereas Article 4, Section 1F of the Constitution of the Oglala Sioux Tribe authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to manage all economic affairs and enterprises of the Oglala Sioux Tribe, and Article 4, Section 1W authorizes the Oglala Sioux Tribal Council to adopt laws protecting and promoting the health and general welfare of the Oglala Sioux Tribe and its membership. And whereas the Tribal Council adopted the FY 2020 General Fund budget in the amount of $9,062,729.80 by Ordinance Number 20-02, January 7th, 2020, as amended, including a budget for the OST Social and Nutrition Program in the amount of $368,750. And whereas the OST Social and Nutrition Program delivers prepared meals and other essential services to elderly members of the tribe on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation who constitute a vulnerable population. And whereas there is a global outbreak of a respiratory disease caused by a novel coronavirus named SARS-CoV-2, and the disease it causes has been named Coronavirus Disease 2019, COVID-19. And the World Health Organization declared the outbreak to be a, quote, public health emergency of international concern, end quote, and a global pandemic. And whereas on March 10th, 2020, the president of the Oglala Sioux tribe declared a state of emergency for the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, and thereafter the tribal council affirmed the president's declaration of a state of emergency on the reservation. And whereas, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and the risk posed to the health and general welfare of residents of the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, as well as those who live nearby and work on the reservation, the Oglala Sioux tribe established a COVID-19 task force to address the pandemic and has activated its emergency management plan to mitigate losses to life, limb, and property on the reservation. And whereas Congress enacted several laws to respond to the devastating impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic, including the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act, Public Law 116-136, March 27, 2020, which established the Coronavirus Relief Fund, hereafter CRF, and appropriated $150 billion to the fund for fiscal $1 billion is reserved for tribal governments. And whereas the CARES Act states that a tribal government may use CRF payments to cover only those costs of the tribal government that, one, are necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, two, were not accounted for in the budget most recently approved as of the date of enactment of this section for the government, and three, were incurred during the period that begins on March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30th, 2020. 42 U.S.C. Section 801D. And whereas the CRF is administered by the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and on April 22nd, 2020, the Treasury Department issued Coronavirus Relief Fund guidance for state, territorial, and local tribal governments, hereafter Treasury guidance. And whereas the Treasury guidance provides, in relevant part, that eligible expenditures from the CRF include, quote, expenses of actions to facilitate compliance with COVID-19 related public health measures, such as expenses for food delivery to residents, including, for example, senior citizens and other vulnerable populations, to enable compliance with COVID-19 public health precautions, end quote. And whereas a portion of the CRF funds have been released to tribal governments, including the Oglala Sioux tribe. And whereas the tribal council enacts this ordinance to authorize an expenditure of funds from the tribe's CRF payment for previously unbudgeted costs totaling $100,916.74 in order to enable the OST Social and Nutrition Program to deliver food and other essential services to elderly members of the tribe to enable compliance with the tribe's COVID-19 public health precautions, including the tribe's shelter-in-place ordinance, curfew ordinance, and quarantine ordinance. And whereas the tribal council finds that without this expenditure of funds from the tribe's CRF payment, the OST Social and Nutrition Assistance Program will not be able to continue its operations, and it will not be able to deliver prepared meals or other essential services to elderly members of the tribe. And whereas the tribal council finds that as a result of the COVID-19 public health emergency and the tribe's mandatory public health measures, the OST Social and Nutrition Program has extended its operations well beyond the amount accounted for in the FY 2020 general fund budget, and the program is in need of additional previously unbudgeted funds in order to continue its operations to provide the delivery of prepared meals and other essential services to elderly members of the tribe. And whereas the tribal council finds that additional funds are necessary for the time period beginning now and continuing through until December 30th, 2020, due to the COVID-19 public health emergency, and the FY 2020 general fund budget did not account for these expenses. And whereas by motion and vote on May 29th, 2020, the Finance Committee met and recommended an amendment to the OST Social and Nutrition Program budget to address these additional expenses and needs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the Tribal Council has reviewed the proposed amendment to the OST Social and Nutrition Program budget, agrees with the foregoing recommendation of the Finance Committee, and has determined that it is in the best interest of the Oglala Sioux tribe and the health and general welfare of the tribe and its members to approve such amendment. Now, therefore, be it ordained, the Tribal Council of the Oglala Sioux tribe hereby adopts and approves an amendment to the Oglala Sioux Tribe Social and Nutrition Program budget for an increase to the budget in the amount of $100,916.74 for the following costs. Food costs, $20,000, food for elderly meals. Utilities, $7,451.95. Solid waste, water and sewer, electricity, propane, telephone, Wi-Fi. Essential repairs and maintenance, $25,000. Repairs to holes in walls, toilets, sinks, flooring leaks, roofs, paneling, cabinets. Essential kitchen appliances and parts, $43,446.35. Stoves, buffet, industrial mixers, refrigerators, freezers, gas connector kits. Essential vehicle maintenance, $5,084.44. Repair and maintenance of vehicles. Total, $100,916.74. Be it further ordained that because the Tribal Council finds that the costs set forth herein are reasonable and necessary expenditures incurred due to the public health emergency with respect to the COVID-19 that were not accounted for in the tribal budget most recently approved of as of March 27th, 2020, the date of enactment of the CARES Act, and the costs will be incurred during the period that begins on or after March 1st, 2020 and ends on December 30th, 2020, the Tribal Council authorizes an expenditure of $100,916.74 from the tribe's Coronavirus Relief Fund, CRF, payment to cover the costs. Certification.
Thank you. Councilwoman Whitehorse.
Question. My hand was raised.
Councilwoman Whitehorse.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion to approve in a second. Councilwoman Sears.
Yes, I just want to clarify the amount because I think the motion that was made, it was a motion by Jackie, second by Philip, that the OST social nutrition budget in the amount of $131,916.74 be inserted within the CARES Act funds, and that this resolution be changed to an ordinance and forwarded to the scheduled special council meeting next week. So, Jennifer, can you make sure that's the right amount? Because I know we discussed the $100,916, but the motion was $131,916.74.
Jackie, I can clarify that. There was two parts in that budget that wouldn't be approved under CARES. One part was the grant match for the vehicles, and that was like 20-something thousand. And then the other part was, it was listed as TVs for elderly meal sites, and that wouldn't qualify under the CARES Act either. That's why those two amounts were removed from the budget.
Okay, thank you, Cora.
Councilwoman Bearkiller, did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna second it because I did want the vehicles removed out of there or identified exactly who's gonna get them, because a lot of our plans includes a new vehicle for our elderly programs.
Okay, Madam Secretary, do I have any hands up?
No.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Call for the vote, please.
Garfield Apple?
Yeah.
Glenn Gibbons? Glenn Gibbons?
Yes.
Lydia Bearkiller?
Yes.
James Cross?
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston? Jackie Sears? Vincent Tulent?
Yes.
Craig Dillon?
Yes.
Cora Whitehorse?
Yes.
Valerie Janice?
Yes.
Valentina Mardanian?
Uh-huh.
Ryan Jumping Eagle?
Yes.
Bo Little White Man,
Yes.
Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald,
Yes.
Keena Mills,
Huh.
Robin Tapio,
Yes.
18 yes.
18 yes, motion carried. Thank you, Tribal Council. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. That completes our agenda for this special session. However, to all the committee chairs, if you can get all the information that you have that are going to need immediate approval or call for a special, and just send it to the executive board, have the secretaries send it to the executive board, and we can compile all that information, and then we can call for a special if that's needed. So again, just forward all your information to the executive board, and we'll do that. Maybe we can even have a special come Friday.
Motion to
Motion to
adjourn.
adjourn.
Okay, got a motion to adjourn
Can you
Second.
identify?
and a second. Madam Secretary, call for the vote, please.
Can you identify who you recognize?
Councilwoman Tapio as the motion maker.
Can I ask a quick question before you adjourn, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
You know, we're getting a lot of phone calls and text messages on this per capita for coming under the CARES funding. And I think that we need to hear from our attorneys on that issue, because some of us council talked this morning, and I think that, and I know I talked to Mason also, he said that it doesn't fall under that. And so I just want to know from our attorneys that are on, is that part of it? I noticed Jennifer spotted our attorney made a little comment about the researching that item. So I think before we end, I like something to be said so our public knows.
Okay, I think that can all be discussed in finance tomorrow. I did ask all the district chairs to attend that meeting, and then that way they can get that information out. And I will work with the attorneys to ask them to draft some clarification that can be posted for the public.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, the second I did acknowledge was Councilwoman Bearkiller. Motion to adjourn by Councilwoman Tapio, second by Councilwoman Bearkiller. Call for the vote, please.
Garfield Apple,
Yes.
Glenn Gibbons,
No.
Lydia Bearkiller,
Yes.
James Cross,
Yes.
Sonia Little Hawk Weston, Jackie Sears,
Uh-huh.
Vincent Tulance,
No.
Craig Dillon, Cora Whitehorse,
Yes.
Yes.
Valerie Janice,
Yes.
Valentina Merdanian,
Uh-huh.
Ryan Jumping Eagle,
Yes.
Bo Little White Man, Chancey Wilson,
Yes.
Philip Goodcrow, I'm sorry, he's excused, Randy Laisbad,
Yes.
Richard Greenwald, Keena Mills,
Huh.
Robin Tapio,
Yes.
Fourteen yes. 2 no, 2 not voting.
14 yes, 2 no, 2 not voting. Thank you, Tribal Council. I'll call this meeting is adjourned at 13:26.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a good day.